Yeah, well, we have to start anyway. Do we have voice? Check.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good.
We'll start with that. Oh, wait. Put the words up.
Right. Here we go. Truth be told, we're not alone. We have built ourselves a home, built it large and built it free. Love was our goal. This a home for anyone, creed or custom barring none. This a place where love can grow. Here all belong. May we find here what we're seeking. May we share the strength to carry on. May the love here do the healing, lift our hearts and make us all as one. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Now, we know you're broken up into conversation groups, but we're going to ask for your attention. We'd like you to kind of turn and face us as well as you can, because we're learning songs we're going to need later on. So I'll give you a minute to finish your sentence. Okay. Yeah, this is a song called Let It Be With Me According to Your Word, and that is your part. And your part goes like this. Let it be with me according to your word. So you go. Let it be with me according to your word. And the rest of the words tell the story. So let's do that one more. Oh, but we'll do the whole thing, won't we? We need a violin player. So let's do it once again while the violin player is coming. So you go. Let it be with me according to your word. That's the violin part. So, while we're waiting for her to come, she's probably enjoying her breakfast. She was here for early rehearsal. Yeah, we'll take a break, I guess. We'll just have to wait. Oh, here she comes. Okay.
But don't embarrass her or make any mistakes.
No comment. No.
Well, I guess we can start now with Felicia there.
So we're going to sing this song all the way through. Your part will come and you'll know where it is. And thank you so much for singing. Two steps to the left. That's good. That's perfect. Okay.
No control issues at all.
You spoke the word. You spoke and it was so. Let it be with me according to your word. Garden bloom at your command, O God. Let it be with me according to your word. Beautifully sung. So that song will come back again. Then we're going to do a walking song, I think is the next one.
Yes.
This is called Ewitina from South Africa. And you're going to be our background chorus. So we're going to get this background chorus going with the low voices, first of all. Low voices.
Lower than Andrew's voice. So if you have a low voice, please help him out.
Ewitina, Ewitina,
Ewitina, Ewitina, Ewitina, Ewitina, Ewitina, Ewitina.
Watch for the second note. Ewitina. Keep that going. Higher voices go like this. Keep that one going. Tenors can go. Ewitina, Ewitina,
Ewitina, Ewitina, Ewitina, Ewitina, Ewitina. Altos, we have a wonderful line. Ewitina, 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 Ewitina.
Keep that going. Unarmed he faces forces of darkness and death. Ewitina,
Ewitina,
faces forces of darkness and death. Ewitina, Ewitina, The tree of freedom blooms by his empty grave. The tree of freedom blooms by his empty grave.
Can I just say one thing?
Oh, okay.
When Andrew has a verse, we're just going to get quieter so we can hear what he's singing. And then we'll come back out when he finishes the verse. So let's start with the chorus and go into a verse.
Ewitina, 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 Ewitina. Unarmed he faces forces of demons and death. Whoa, unarmed he faces forces of darkness and death. Ewitina, Beautiful. So that's coming up. Then walls mark our boundaries, I think. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
The opening song is going to be, in a few moments, a song by Ruth Duck and Jim Strathgy called Walls Mark Our Boundaries. And we're going to learn the chorus, if you're willing.
Mm-hmm.
We'll sing it once and then invite you to join us.
So build us a table and tear down the walls. Christ is our host. There's room for us all.
So it goes like this. So build us a table and tear down the wall. Christ is our host. There is room for us all. We sing. So build us a table and tear down the wall. Christ is our host. There is room for us all. So build us a table and tear down the wall. Christ is our host. There is room for us all. Yeah, join us. Sure. Yeah, that's great.
Maybe we'll just sing a verse and go into the chorus? Or is that
Right,
confusing?
So I'm missing.
Okay. You and I don't have the same watch.
Oh, so sorry, I'm missing this.
We need to sing something else.
Oh, I see.
Let's go back to...
Okay, there's that one. We could do Jukiso.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
La, la, la.
Yeah. Okay, we need more singing for something else to happen. So we're going to flash you back to the Korean song Jukiso Wanwiwe, and we're going to do Ta La La La.
You know, we have some Korean visitors with us, and they're going to be introduced formally later this morning. So we would encourage you, because it is a profound way of being able to welcome our friends from Korea. When we get to that, we'd really like you to sing out. We know the chorus is in Korean. We practiced it yesterday. We're going to do it again. But just now we're going to sing the tune just to La La La, and when it comes around in English, you'll be able to sing the English words, and our Korean friends will sing the Korean words, and together we'll make a song. Thank you.
So just reminding you, I'll play the tune on the guitar, and then we'll do the La 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 version.
Hallelujah.
La 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 la, la 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 la. They should shout. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la.
That's it. One more verse in La La La. Our friend in Geneva calls this the ecumenical La La La. If you don't speak the language, you just do the ecumenical La La La. So that's what we're doing right now. Here we go. La 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 la. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. La 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 la.
Beautiful.
Well done.
God is here today. Practice our signing for God is here today. God is here today. God is here today, as certain
certain as the air I breathe, as certain as the morning sun that rises, as certain when I sing you'll hear my song. God is here today, as certain as the air I breathe, as certain as the morning sun that rises, as certain when I sing you'll hear my song.
Let's hum and sign.
God is here today, as certain as the air I breathe, as certain as the morning sun that rises, as certain when I sing you'll hear my song, as certain when I sing you'll hear my song, as certain when I sing, as certain when I sing you'll hear my song.
Thank you, instrumentalists. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
Okay. You think? Yeah, you should.
Please rise in body or in spirit for our opening hymn.
Walls mark our boundaries and keep us apart. Walls keep the world from our eyes and our heart. Tables are round, making room for one more. Welcoming friends we had not known before. So build us a table and tear down the wall. Christ is our host, there's room. full of care. So build us a table and tear down the wall. Christ is our host, there's room for us all. So build us a table and tear down the wall. Christ is our host, there's room for us all.
When they heard the sound of Yahweh walking into the garden in the cool of the evening, the man and the woman hid from Yahweh's presence among the trees of the garden. Yahweh called, "Where are you?"
Où es-tu?
Wo bist du?
Où es-tu?
Misaolete. The man replied, "I was afraid."
I was afraid. Everyone, I was
afraid.
I am afraid. Do you choose this bundle of uncertainty that has been given my name? Too hot in summer, too cold in winter, too young for wisdom, too old for comfort, too temperamental, uncertain, uneducated, unimaginative, too grieving, growing, giving, gifted, too much and too little. Do you choose this one in the morning sun and the cool of the evening? Do you choose this one calling in the night's embrace and the heat of the day?
Où
Where
es-tu?
are you?
Misaolete.
Où es-tu?
Wo bist du?
I am afraid. Stuck on the sideline, searching for meaning, wrung out with worry, wrought with new wonder, crowded by conversation, complacent in contentment, eager to participate, to avoid, to connect, to be fed. Inadequate, imperfect, intrinsically loved. Do you choose this one in creation, suffering, and fear's power? Do you choose this one in the hurt and anger and love and possibility?
Where will I go? Where do I belong? I am afraid.
Où es-tu?
Where are
Misaolete.
you?
Où es-tu?
Misaolete.
Où es-tu?
Misaolete.
Choose me, let me be worthy, made in your image, vibrant with possibility, radiant with presence, unique and connected, vessels of the sacred.
You called me. Here I am.
Here I am. Here you are. We are here. Here, before everything, was divine presence.
You spoke the word, you spoke and it was so. Let it be with me according to your word. A garden bloomed at your command, O God. Let it be with me according to your word. A shepherd stood, feet bare on holy ground. Let it be with me according to your word.
Do not be afraid.
Ayez pas peur.
älä pelkää,
Ayez pas
älä
peur.
pelkää.
No temas.
Those are the words the angel said to Mary, or so the story goes. The angel Gabriel appeared to a young maiden in a little out of the way place called Nazareth and said, "Greetings, favored one."
Bienvenue,
Salve.
mon
Tervetuloa.
ami. Bienvenue,
Tervetuloa.
mon ami.
Sit saistu.
Mary pondered the angel's words, pondering, perplexed. "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God, and now you will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you will name him Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High, and the Lord God will give him the throne of his ancestor David. He will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there will be no end." Mary said,
How can this be?
Hace más de 50 años que pertenezco a UCC. Cada domingo fui a la iglesia, pero no hizo un papel activo en la vida de la iglesia. Con UCC en busca del renacimiento, descubrí un papel que podría desempeñar en llevar a mi congregación a abrazar el espíritu de los cambios propuestos. Según una sección de una citación de la Madre Teresa, siento que yo soy un pequeño lápiz en la mano de Dios. Ahora la congregación y yo estamos llenos de esperanza.
How can this be? How can we be the chosen ones with our fear and our hope? And we respond,
Here I am. Mein Johann Mohn.
The angel said to her, "The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Therefore, the child to be born will be holy. He will be called Son of God. Nothing will be impossible with God." Then Mary said,
Here I am. Minä tunnen kutsumus julistaa vapausta meidän pelot erotelusta ja kuolemasta. Minä tunnen kutsumus jatkaa kutsut lähettyä pyhää. Minä tunnen kutsumus voiman tunnuttaa elämää toivossa ja iloisella kuuliaisuudella. Minä tunnen kutsumus Jumalan armoon.
We are called like Samuel, like Jeremiah, like Moses, like Mary, like so many men and women in the stories of Scripture and throughout our history. And we respond,
Here I am. Et do emai.
Yes, Mary said, "Here I am, the servant of the Lord. Let it be with me according to your word."
A prophet damns, who thanks for freedom, Lord. Let it be with me according to your word. A prophet spoke, a troubled city heard. Let it be of me according to your word. A healer called, a sleeping soul awoke. Let it be with me according to your word. The
Let us pray. Holy One, we come bringing our hearts filled with joy and worry. We celebrate the new beginnings, the possibilities, all those who dedicate their lives for work of peace, justice, and radical welcome. We bring our losses and worries, our hearts broken by the sorrows of the world. In particular, we respond to the prayer request coming from the Philippines for those affected by the current crisis in the southern Philippines, the outbreak of violence there, and the declaration of martial law in Mindanao. For the people of Marawi, and especially the students, faculty, staff, and families of the UCCP's Dansalam College, and the safe release of hostages. For those giving witness for a true and lasting peace, particularly the people and leadership of the United Church of Christ in the Philippines, for their continuing prophetic witness and presence in the region and the nation, and for the ongoing peace talks in the Philippines and the vision of a greater economic justice, equity, and well-being for all Filipinos. May our hearts be broken open, transformed to bring about a vision of the strength of life and love. Amen.
We begin with the low voices. Unarmed he faces forces of darkness and death, waiting on. Unarmed he faces forces of darkness and death, waiting on. By his empty grave, waiting on. The tree of freedom blooms by his empty grave, waiting on. Waiting on. Waiting faces forces of
Body or spirit.
unarmed he faces forces of demon and death, waiting on.
I'd rather take the chance of having the It's free, it's a little expensive. Yeah, that's
Good morning. And welcome to Toronto Conference, Day 2, Saturday, May 27th. Just in case you've forgotten where we are. I do want to welcome you, and we're going to begin this morning. We've just been sitting here trying to get a visual of how many people might be here, and we think we're right on that edge. And so we are going to actually do a count for quorum, so we know one way or the other. And so at this time, I would ask you to have your voting cards out. Do I need to do both? Like, do I need to separate them?
Oh, yes.
Yes, okay. So we'll begin. So I would ask you, the lay, do you have this in a specific way? Do I have to do clergy first? No, it doesn't matter to you? No? Okay. All right. So if you are a lay delegate to conference, I would ask you at this time to hold up your voting card. Why is that person holding it? I don't know where mine is. See, there's some people walking in the door. That's the problem, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly the problem. That's exactly the problem.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
So 4 people, 5 people just walked in the door. If you are a member,
Oh, hold on.
oh wait, just a second.
So the number of lay people in the room is 75.
Okay. Is that the number we need?
Okay.
A member of the Order of Ministry or designated lay minister entitled to vote, please raise your voting card. You got us?
Yep.
So you're on. Oh, we got more people wanting in still.
Okay, the number of ordered and DLMs is 94. 94. Okay, so folks, as you can see, the attendance is 169. We need 174. So we don't have quorum. Okay, so here's the deal. We're now being told that people are still walking through the door. And so it's just yet another example of it's important to be on time. Now, what we don't know is who walked through the door. Were they lay people or were they order of ministry? So do we need to take the count again? They were order of ministry. Okay, so the difficulty, I guess, is that we need more lay people.
There's Muriel. Hi, Muriel. So, yeah, that gets us to 170.
What's that? Okay. Well, Brian needs to make a
Yeah, it
presentation.
needs to be, Brian needs to send somebody else because I need him up here. Nice try, though. Nice try, though. Okay. Okay.
So what do you want to do then? So why don't we let Brian start his presentation?
And kind of monitor the door?
And then what we'll need to do is do a recount before we actually vote on anything.
All right. So that we can move on, folks, I'm going to call on past President Brian Ransom, the Chair of Nominations, to come forward and to present his proposal and draw your attention to the report. And honestly, we're going to kind of watch the door. And before we get to the vote, we will take another count of quorum to see if we can proceed in that way. And just hopefully folks are straggling in.
Okay. So I have a question for you this morning. What did the green grape say to the purple grape? Breathe, stupid. So let's breathe, okay? We will succeed in getting quorum. Don't worry about it. So this morning, I'd like to, before I begin, like to thank our nominations team. I'd like to thank Therese Samuel, Martha Wood, Margaret Smith, Crystal McGee, Catherine Smith, and Ann Hepburn, and David for getting all of this stuff, for David particularly, for getting all this stuff together for us this morning. We are in kind of a transition, as you know, as we move from possibly from a 4-court system down to a 2-court system, and or a 3-court system, I should say. I wish it was 2. That might happen next year. And so, as normal, as we left last year from here, a call went out to all the presbyteries. If there's anyone that wishes to put their name forward to be the president-elect, we will welcome that. We waited patiently. We sent out another email to the various presbyteries, and we waited patiently, and no name came forward. And even last night at 9 o'clock, I was waiting patiently for a willing soul to step forward, and no one has. And so the proposal that is set before you is one that we had thought about because we are going to be in the midst of transition, possibly. And so I would like to entertain that proposal that if the 3-council remit passes, to extend the term of the current conference president and past president to the 2018 annual meeting of the Toronto Conference and authorize the president and past president, executive secretary, and executive to adopt measures to lighten the load of these office holders in the coming year. I think there is some wisdom in this, as I was talking with Audrey, who attended the president-elect and the president's meeting at the General Counsel office in April. A lot of the conferences were moving this way because it is going to be very difficult for a new person just to step in and to help through that process. So other conferences have already have made this motion and are working with this. So I'd like to present this motion, moved by Martha Wood. Is there a seconder?
Oh, we can't.
Ross Lucky.
Okay, we can't do that because we don't have quorum yet.
We don't have quorum.
So we're going to discuss it.
I need to breathe. Okay, so we'll just discuss it then.
Yes.
Okay? Anybody wish to make any comments on this, please come to the mic. No? Okay.
We do just want to give ourselves a few moments. So we are going to ask you then to move on to the next thing that you'll present, and
right.
then we'll do our quorum stuff.
All right. The next motion I'd like to bring forward is for the diversity representatives on the conference executive, and that is before you. You'll find that motion. And the individuals are listed there as well.
What page?
I don't have a page number. Sorry.
Which, I thought it was talking about,
This should be up on the screen. You're right. There's hands out on the table.
Oh,
I don't have a page number on mine.
Resource?
Sorry.
Sorry, I don't know. What is it? The nomination report? What is it I'm looking for? The whole nominations report?
I have it on my mind.
No.
no, okay, what were you presenting there? You were doing the general counsel name?
For the diversity representatives?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the advanced minutes.
Right.
That's what you have. They don't have that. Yeah. No.
We're just getting that up on the screen for you. This is the diversity representatives to conference executive that we're discussing.
So if you look in your workbooks, what you'll see on page 67 is the report of the nominations committee. And what the past president is talking about right now is actually found on page 69, and it's item L. And we have 3 persons who are named by the conference itself as diversity representatives. We are needing to elect a new person. And so, yes, if you can put that on the screen. Here we go. So this is, Brian will have a name to put in here for you now.
So it's Jessica Stevenson, who has agreed to be part of that diversity team. Okay. So we still don't have quorum, so we'll just let that go.
We're fairly confident that we have quorum now, but I think we only need to count the late people.
So you want me to do that right now?
We may as well, and then we'll just backtrack and pass the first motion.
We're going to do that. We're going to do a recount of the lay people for achieving quorum, because if we have enough, then we're good. So if you are a lay representative to conference, I would ask you to hold up your voting card at this time.
You win some, you lose some. Okay, we have a new number that will be a good number. It's 86.
Yay.
Okay.
Okay. So we are going to backtrack to the original proposal that Brian had put forward, nominations had put forward regarding the extension of the term of office for the president and past president. And it was moved by Martha Wood, and we need a seconder.
Ross Leckie.
I'm sorry?
Ross Leckie.
Oh, and Ross Leckie, sorry.
So we have one more condition that we need to put on this,
Okay.
that the president and past president get a free trip to Hawaii.
Right? Yes. That's why we were so fussy about that quorum matter there, folks.
Okay. You've had an opportunity to come to the mic and voice your opinion and concerns, and I haven't heard anything. So I'll leave it to you to call the motion.
Oh, okay. All right, so hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried.
So that means we do get a free trip.
Yay! I heard that pretty clearly. We'll have conference in Hawaii in February. That's a good idea. There you go. Nobody will say it's too far to go there. And so on to the diversity representative. Martha Wood has stepped down, as we've discussed. Jessica Stevenson's name has been put forward, so.
I so moved, and is there a seconder?
Janet Jones, seconder.
Call the question.
You've heard the motion. All in favor?
Good.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
On your tables, there are a single sheet with the commissioners for the 43rd General Council that have been selected by your presbyteries, and that the alternatives are there as well. I don't need to read all of these names. As a matter of fact, I won't read the names. You have the opportunity to read them. So I will move that the 93rd Annual meeting of the Toronto Conference agrees that the 18 commissioners to the 43rd General Council be elected at this 2017 annual meeting, with the remaining 12 commissioners to be elected at the 94th annual meeting, based on a slate of nominees to be presented by the Toronto Southeast Presbytery and the Conference Nomination Committee, and/or nominees from the floor. So that's the motion. Is there a seconder, please? Okay.
Karen, thank you. Any questions?
I'm not sure that Karen, have you been elected by your presbytery?
You can.
Thank you.
can.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried.
That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, Brian, you.
Nope.
Oh, one more?
No, it's not.
No, you have one more motion.
Okay.
Okay, I think there was some confusion there. So the first motion was to, could you scroll up, please?
Sorry.
Linda, or John, whoever's scrolling, can they move up, please? There were actually two motions that needed to be passed. The first one that was on the screen was to adopt the process. And so I don't know if you knew that's what you were voting on. Then the second motion was the names that resulted from the process that you may or may not have approved. So could we just confirm?
Okay, that's my bad. Is everyone comfortable with what you just passed, which was this process that, okay, that's what you thought you were voting on, even though I forgot to clarify that? Okay. All right. And so now we're going to present to you the motion of the actual names.
Okay. I'm not a process person.
I don't remember that.
That was my oversight. I was looking down the page instead of up at the page. So now we get to nominate those who are been elected to by their presbyteries to go to the 43rd General Council. So I move that motion that that at this 93rd annual meeting of the Toronto Conference 2017 approve. At this 93rd meeting of General Council of Toronto Conference 2017, elected as commissioners to the 43rd meeting of the General Council of 2018. The following persons are nominated by the presbyteries within the Toronto Conference. So the names that are on the front of your page there are those who are being elected.
Did you move that?
I move it. Yes. Is there a seconder? Gay Van Gagel. Gay Van Gagel.
Yes,
Would you like me to spell it?
Thank you.
Yes. V-A-N, capital C-A-E-Y, Z-E-E-L-E.
Thank you.
We fill all the spots.
Thank you.
So it's been moved and seconded. Audrey?
Okay.
We have the name.
Any comments, questions on the motion?
Yes.
No.
The question was, are we voting on the alternates as well? And I
Well,
got two different answers. It's a good thing you're all here and you know what's going on.
That's good.
I wish we all knew what we were doing. The motion actually has two parts. There's an A and a B part, and it's one motion.
Okay, I was going to break that up. But that's okay.
You're going to break me up.
It's always good to have humor.
That's right. We need a little levity in our morning. So
Okay.
to be clear, when you're passing this motion, you are passing both the list of people we are sending and the list of people who are their alternates as the names have been put forward by their presbyteries. So there is a part A and B. You're voting on all of it at this time. Are there any questions about that? Okay, you're ready to vote? So all in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried.
Good. Are we done now?
I think you're done.
Okay.
I'll just turn this to you.
Sure, yes.
I'll just turn this over to David for the questions on accountability reports.
So you had an opportunity to raise questions about any of the reports that were in the resource book, and as of 9 o'clock last night, there were no questions asked, so no answers will be given.
All right, and so moving on.
Yeah, so the next item of business is is found on page 78 of your resource book, and this is the conference budgets and assessment. So the motion, as you can see on the screen now, is there. For the last number of years, when I've presented the budget, I keep telling you that really there's no change from the previous year. There are no substantive changes from previous years, because the work of the presbyteries and the work of the conference is largely the same over the last number of years. And so the numbers will move up a little bit, and sometimes they'll move down a little bit, but the overall scheme is the same. This year is no different in terms of the motion that's in front of us. But depending on the result of the remits, it could be that we're passing the final budget for Toronto Conference if the remit passes. But in case it doesn't pass, we've included the projections into 2019 and 20. So that is, it's for information anyway, but this year it may be for information that really won't matter if the remits pass. One of the things that we've done for quite a number of years now is that we've had on the budget what we call an assessment stabilization line. And what that has done over the years is that it has, in one sense, artificially kept the assessments lower to the congregations and to the pastoral charges. And the way we've been able to manage that is that we've been using money from the sale of church property. And so if it turns out that the remit fails and the conference continues, although we have plenty of money in this conference, as I think we all know, I think it would be a more prudent thing for us as a conference to look at the stewardship of that, of those long-term assets. And so right now, when we subsidize the pastoral charges by roughly $300,000 a year, and that's coming from what some people call forever money. So when you send, the money that you'll only get once. So we're proposing that we continue what we've been doing for the last number of years, because this is probably not the right time to make a major change in the assessment. But I think I'm just giving you notice that if the remit fails, I think we will want to have a conversation about whether we should continue that practice of keeping the assessments artificially low and using long-term money for that purpose. So that's for information this year. And so you have the motion. There were no questions that were asked in writing about it. And so, President, I'd recommend that we move ahead with the motion.
I would need a mover and seconder to approve the 2018 budget and receive for information the projected budgets for 2019 and 2020.
Clyde Harris.
Clyde Harris. And, oh, he's louder, but I saw you first, sorry. Oh, I didn't mean to say that out loud. Oops.
Who do you see? Who's the second?
I saw Marg first, actually. Even though I would like to, I heard you first, but I saw her first, so. Thank you. Are there any further discussion on this motion? All in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried. And I'd like to call on Andy Komar for the settlement report. The settlement report can be found in the additional pages section of the workbook, beginning on page 4.
Good morning, everyone. Usually I don't present, but I'm here to answer any questions. It's been one of those years, again, where we're facing remits, especially with the elimination of the transfer committee. So we've had a busy year. Of course, the work that we do with approving settlements, appointments, calls, and I want to thank the Settlement and Pastoral Relations Committee for the work that they do on your behalf. So maybe those members, if you're here in the court, can you please stand? I want to acknowledge them because they're an incredible group that do a lot of work during the year on your behalf. So those of the Settlement and Pastoral Relations Committee, if you're here, please stand. Give them a round of applause. They deserve it. I want to say one thing, though, and you'll see that in the report. Every year, Ann Harbridge and I go to Emmanuel College. This past fall, I was on my own. It was encouraging to see how many people at Emmanuel College going into their internship here and next year we'll be looking forward to ordination or commissioning, wanted to be settled. And this was really interesting because, as you know, over the last several years, everyone has been going to an appointment or call. So that was encouraging, and also encouraging about the average age of those at Emmanuel College was also lower, which was wonderful to see as well. Some younger people thinking about ministry and wanting to offer their service there.
Any further questions? All right.
Great. Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, Audrey.
This time I'd call on Jody Maltby to talk to us about the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People.
So the General Council has provided us with a workshop that is a minimum of 30 minutes. And so we're going to do a bit of a run through of it here, but we're not going to have the opportunity to engage in it as deeply as perhaps we would like to. So the idea is you get a taste of it here, and then you take it back to your congregation or pastoral charge and engage in the work more deeply there. So on your table, you should have a small pile of papers with the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples on the top. And we have one copy of all of those resources that you can use while you're here participating. So one of the calls that came out of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, call to action 48, encouraged churches as parties to the settlement agreement to do some work around the declaration from the United Nations. And so the General Council wanted to provide some information about what has happened in the United Church so far, and then to encourage us to work at our local level as well. So we are going to start with a little video that they've provided for your viewing pleasure.
We tried to make you be like us, and in so doing we helped to destroy the vision that made you what you were. And as a result, you and we are poorer, and the image of the Creator in us is twisted, blurred, and we are not what we were meant by God to be.
Hi, I'm Sarah Stratton, Reconciliation and Indigenous Justice Animator at the United Church of Canada.
And I'm Maggie McLeod, Executive Minister for Aboriginal Ministries and Indigenous Justice at the United Church of Canada.
My work involves helping the Church live out its apologies to Indigenous peoples and the calls to action of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. One of the things I'm often asked is, haven't we done that? Isn't that all over now?
The Church has to accept us. We are indigenous to the land from the Creator. We had a way of life that was very spiritual. We had Thanksgiving for everything. The food from the ocean, the food from the forest. We lived with the land. And we need to pursue those values again. We still aren't up to par. Our people still live in poverty all over this country. Our kids are committing suicide. They're lost. They don't understand what happened. They don't understand why we are drenched in alcohol and drugs. They don't understand a lot of things.
The fact is, we won't have lived out the apology, and we won't have achieved reconciliation until we have clean water and adequate housing on reserves.
Until Indigenous youth are no longer committing suicide in disproportionate numbers.
Until Indigenous children receive equitable education and social welfare funding.
Until we know why so many Indigenous women and girls go missing and murdered.
Until Indigenous peoples are full participants in decisions affecting us and the lands we live on.
In 1986, the Church apologized for ignoring the deep, rich traditions of Indigenous peoples and imposing our vision of civilization on them. We asked to walk together to heal our broken relationship. The question that still confronts us, 30 years on, is how?
The Truth and Reconciliation Commission offers us a path in its call to the churches and to Canada to adopt the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples as the framework for reconciliation, as the basis of the relationship between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples.
By this, we mean that we take to heart these basic principles in everything we do.
That Indigenous peoples have the right to self-determination,
the right to cultural and spiritual identity,
the right to participate in decision-making,
the right to lands and resources,
the right to free, prior, and informed consent,
the right to be free from discrimination.
The United Nations Declaration affirms rights that are the minimum standard for the survival, dignity, and well-being of Indigenous peoples. These are not new or extra rights. They are rights that have always existed, but have not been honored. Systematic discrimination has worn away at the well-being and dignity of Indigenous peoples.
Our faith compels us to respond to such situations. Jesus says, "Come unto me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Paul reminds us in Corinthians that in Christ, God was reconciling the world to himself and entrusting the message of reconciliation to us. And so, we take up that call.
Why, Saturn, Samaptat, United Church of Canada, where this Amalgach, and to them youth call to action. Number 48. Dem zullen goed dit. Call to action. Met Jochem dit. Dem Jochem dit la algeget. Mulla dag. Ajoch. Dem zullen ooit goed laat. Called United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People. Nou, dat zou ooit gezien. In het template of the United Church.
At the national level, through our United Nations Declaration Task Group and the caretakers of our Indigenous Circle, we are now assessing what implementation of these principles would look like in the policies and structures of the whole church.
And we continue to advocate with government for these principles as it seeks to implement the United Nations Declaration.
The question now for communities of faith is, how will you live out the Declaration?
Who are the Indigenous peoples with whom you share the land? What are the issues they are facing?
How can we build a relationship together, guided by the promises of the Apology and given life by the principles of the United Nations Declaration?
We are not sure what lies ahead as we complete this turn towards justice and deepen our commitment to a new identity, a new relationship, and a new way of being, both in the church and in the world. De nouvelles relations pointent à l'horizon et nous nous tournons résolument vers elles.
So we are provided with a number of questions to reflect on out of this video. What I'm going to invite you to do is just turn to a neighbor at your table that you feel comfortable having some conversation with. And we're just going to take about 3 minutes. Think about what are the connections between the promises we've made as a church and the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Do you think things have changed for Indigenous peoples in Canada since the Apology? And do you think Indigenous peoples experience what the Declaration calls for? So just take a moment, and we'll just scratch the surface.
To the president.
Oh, you go right ahead.
Oh, yes, So, I was wondering if there's any appropriate way.
So I'm going to interrupt. I'm going to interrupt this wonderful conversation because I do want to give us a flavor of the full workshop. So I would call you back to the full. So you start to see the potential for the conversations that you could be having in your local context around some of this. So the next thing is to share with you how, as a church, we can live out the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, how we are invited by Call 48 into this work. And so part of this work is structural in that we have been called to examine our policies, procedures, and practices through the lens of the Declaration and to look at how they both include or exclude our Indigenous peoples in our work. And so that's a piece of work that the General Council and the national committees are working on, but it's also work that we can do at the conference level. And I know that, for example, the Settlement and Pastoral Relations Committee started having some of those conversations about their practices and policies. And so in each of our committees, and the executive has been doing that work, we can be looking at that. Part of this work is relational, and an opportunity to explore the relationship between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples in our local context. I'm adding that I think part of it is educational, because as settlers, we need to constantly be educating ourselves about what is in the Declaration and the ways in which we have stripped those rights from Indigenous peoples. And immediately after this call is the call about both understanding and repudiating the doctrine of discovery. And that's another important piece of work that we need to be doing in our local contexts. And then finally, we're called, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission called on all levels of government to adopt the Declaration as the framework for reconciliation. And as a church, that is committed to reconciliation, we are called to advocate with governments at all levels to encourage the adoption of the Declaration. So if we can go to the next set of questions, so the next slide on. Thank you. So then the next opportunity for conversation, and this will be so relevant when you're doing it in your home congregations, is that relational piece. So who are the Indigenous peoples closest to you with whom you share the land? And are they affected by any of the issues that were raised in the video? Do other issues related to the Declaration affect them? And if you don't know, how might you find out? So again, in small pairs or threes, we'll just take a couple of minutes to start that conversation. So I'm just going to interject again, and I'm going to move us on to another question. One more. Thanks. So this takes us into the advocacy piece, and this is the piece that the General Counsel is really wanting us to wrestle with. And one of the documents that's on your table is the campaign that Kairos is encouraging us to be involved in support of Bill C-262. And that's available on the Kairos website as well. But so the question is, have your municipal and provincial or territorial government adopted the United Nations Declaration? And if not, can you commit to advocating with them to do so? And can you commit to advocating with your Member of Parliament to support Bill C-262, which is a private member's bill that would establish a timeline and accountability process for implementation? And the resource from Kairos provides lots of resources for those of us who have maybe never done this kind of advocacy to help us be effective in that communication. The last sheet that's on your table is a page where we can write down notes and our commitments, and those can be shared with Sarah Stratton. So take just again a couple of minutes to start this conversation and consider the role that we can play as advocates. So that gives you a taste of the possibilities for a workshop in your home context and an opportunity to build some relationship with Indigenous peoples in your community. All of the documents that are on your table are available on the General Council workshop website and the Kairos website. I have a few extra hard copies for people who don't have access to the internet. I also have a few hard copies of the Truth and Reconciliation Calls to Action and the United Church Apology. So if anyone would like copies of those, please come and see me. And if anyone was able to fill out some information on the comment and commitment pages, please bring those to me at the staff table and we'll make sure that that information gets to Sarah Stratton. It was 2 years ago that we as a conference received the calls to action from the Truth and Reconciliation and committed to those calls. And it is important that we not think that that was enough. We must be constantly reflecting on the calls and addressing them as one step in our journey towards reconciliation. So I appreciate your engagement in this process, and I hope that you will take it back with you and engage deeply in your local congregation. Thank you.
Ready for our stewardship presentation. I could call those folks forward. And as they're coming forward, just to let you know that if anyone has a prayer request to be included in worship, please give them to Emily Gordon, our worship leader, who is over to my left, or write them down and leave them on the worship table, which is by the white table by the door, by the end of lunch. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Karen Soonrein, and I am the Stewardship and Gift Officer for the Toronto Conference. I don't have much time, but what I wanted to do is to just introduce myself. It's been great to meet all of you here this year. And I also wanted to just put up a slide of just a thanks, first of all, to all of you who are very generous to the United Church of Canada. It is amazing the work and the things that you're doing and the resources that you commit to helping so many across Canada and around the world. So I just want to also make light of UCW, not to make light of UCWs, Vilya, for all those wonderful women who have supported so many initiatives. And it's kind of hard, can you see it? It's kind of hard to see. It's in like a deep blue. But you have raised so much money. Thank you very much. That's wonderful for your efforts, for all that you've done. And the next slide will give you the total amount of what UCWs have donated over the 55 years, which is $134 million, just under the $134,500,000. That's right. So what a blessing all of you are to the United Church of Canada. I am your resource, so I can come to your church, I can help your stewardship teams, I can help your councils, your boards. We have a wonderful program that's called Called to Be the Church. And this year's theme is We Sing Thanksgiving. So come and talk to me. I have business cards, take it away. I can come and meet you where you're at, see your church, see the amazing things you're doing. There's one thing I would like to highlight is that we are having two events, two workshops. So one is May 30th at St. John's United Church in Alliston, and the other one is June 15th at Jubilee United Church in Don Mills. And there we'll take this apart. It's for lay and ministers as well to really grapple and understand the stewardship and theology of stewardship. I'm also here to help you understand and to develop your mission and service of the United Church of Canada. So we have a new spiritual practice. I have some of those stations downstairs that you can look at. But I wanted to invite Carol Bennett up to talk a little bit about her pilgrimage that she recently took to Kenya. Carol?
Thanks, Karen. It's a pleasure to be here and to join again with all of you here at the annual meeting for Toronto Conference. I'm the mission and service enthusiast in my congregation, which is, but let me tell you, there is nothing quite like a pilgrimage. And I had the privilege of traveling this last March and early April to Kenya with 16 other United Church people from across the country. We were charged to go and see and then return and tell. Return and tell how our United Church partners are living out the gospel in their time and place. Our partners are doing challenging but astounding work in Kenya and across Africa. For example, Prakmura, one of our partners, is working to build meaningful relationships between Christians and Muslims on the ground in local communities across that continent. Another of our partners, KARK, is providing for and protecting children who are in vulnerable situations. Some of our group visited a school where girls are now being given an education instead of being forced into child marriages. I was part of a group that flew to northwestern Kenya to visit the refugee camp at Kakuma. There we met with our partner, the National Council of Churches of Kenya, and saw the astounding work that they are doing housing the people in that camp. Kakuma is a refugee camp that houses 160,000 people. That's a population the size of Barrie or Guelph or Kingston. And the NCCK is working with the other organizations who are in Kakuma and the United Nations to look at a new kind of settlement that will integrate the refugee community with the host community. Because what was astounding to me was we discovered that the average residency in the Kakuma refugee camp is 17 years. NCCK, our partner, is also working elsewhere in Kenya addressing food security issues by teaching conservation agriculture techniques, and they're having amazing results in improving crop yields. And another of our partners, the Pambizo Christian Council, is working with churches across Africa, journeying with them, coaching, mentoring these churches to help them to live out the gospel message that all are children of God. All LGBTQ people are children of God, because LGBTQ people are particularly vulnerable in Africa. There are two of us, Denise Moore and myself, who were part of the pilgrimage, and we are both in Toronto Conference, and we would love to share our experiences with you and your congregation. So if you would like to contact us about that, there's information on page 17 of the additional pages in your resource book, or you can talk to me during one of the breaks. I'm happy to speak to you about our experience and perhaps arrange something that we can share together with your congregation. And before I step aside, I would like to add my voice to Susie Henderson's announcement yesterday to encourage you to think about joining the Extreme Hunger Appeal. Food crises are serious, very serious in Kenya and other countries in that area, but now famine has been declared in South Sudan. People are dying every day, so We would appreciate if you can see what you can do to be a part of the extreme hunger campaign that the United Church is offering. Thank you.
There are two themes that were introduced there that I wanted to highlight as well. One was about the UCW, and they're celebrating 55 years. There are 1,400 UCW members in Toronto Conference. And they give, exactly, that's a lot of people. It is. They also give $1,500 each year to 4 students that attend Emmanuel College. And they have done that from their 40th anniversary award fund. So I'm sure there's a number of people in this room that have been the recipients of those awards, and we just wanted to note that and to thank them. And yesterday, when I mentioned that Catherine Christie was our overseas personnel, the reason that she has recently come back and is retiring out of that role, and she wanted me to note that that position is open, and that also inspired Michael Schuberg to remind me that there are other overseas personnel positions, and if that is something that you or someone you know might be intrigued by, you can go to the United Church website and find out the information about that important work in the world. And I just need to call on David to note something about new business.
Yes, last night at 9 o'clock was the deadline for new business. In fact, we did have one item that is at the printer right now. And Staples opens at 10 o'clock, so that's why we can't give it to you right yet. But it'll be on the agenda this afternoon and on your tables. We'll make 4 copies for each table, and it'll be on the agenda this afternoon.
We're going to give you a 15-minute break. You need to come back, though, at 5 to 11, because we have something happening at 11 that we need you seated for. So please take a break and come back by 5 to 11.